Hello bookish friends, my name is Alex and welcome back to my booktube channel. It is time for one of my absolute favorite types of videos to make for you guys, and that is anticipated releases. And these ones are even extra special because they are fall anticipated releases. That's right, it is almost September and we are talking about books coming out in September and October of 2023 that I am super excited for and think that you guys might want to have on your radar. Let's just dive into this. We have quite the list, and like always, I tried to narrow it down to really ones that I actually am super stoked about. So we're going to go chronologically through the release dates of these and let you know which books are coming out that I think you should pay attention to. And then at the very end, I will talk about a couple of sequels that are coming out, sequels to books that I've already read and liked, but I'm not gonna include sequels in like the main list if you're not interested in that. If you haven't read the first book, you might not care. But let's dive into it, starting with two books that actually come out on August 29th. I don't know how I missed these in my summer releases video that ended with August reads. I don't know. I missed two, so I'm just gonna throw them in the beginning of this video because I can. It's my video and I can do what I want. And these ones definitely give fall vibes anyways, so it's fine. We are gonna start with those two and dive into this list of amazing upcoming releases that I can't wait for. So the first one on August 29th that I want to mention is A Multitude of Dreams by Mara Rutherford. This is a reimagining of Edgar Allan Poe's The Masque of Red Death. And it is a like YA fantasy. I believe vampires are involved, possibly? But it is about this world in which there has been this deadly plague ravaging the world for many years, and there is a castle where everyone inside of the castle has just been secluded, locked away for this entire time to keep them safe from the plague, but they essentially have no clue what's going on outside of the castle. They've just been like stuck in this capsule of time, keeping them safe and healthy, but keeping them isolated. And our main character is a princess inside of the castle who is desperate to get out, and she may have some dark secrets she's hiding as well. And one day a boy from the outside is sent to try and see if there are any survivors inside of the castle. And the two end up running into each other, meeting up, and we follow the story from there. Secrets are revealed. All sorts of things are gonna happen. I think it sounds really interesting. Mara Rutherford has been a hit or miss for me in the past, but I think this one sounds very interesting, has a gorgeous cover, and I'm into it. So I think I'm gonna give it a try. And that is A Multitude of Dreams. The next one on August 29th that I just want to briefly mention is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mehrer. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. This is a publication from Red Tower Books, which is kind of a fantasy romance in print. They brought us Fourth Wing, so I'm very interested in everything they have coming out. I definitely keep an eye on them a lot, and this is their next release coming out very soon here at the end of August. It sounds more on the romance, like rom-com side, but also fantasy. We are following this young woman who takes a job as the personal assistant to a villain in her kind of kingdom that she lives in, against her better judgment, but she really needs the money for her family, and so she's going to do it. She takes this position, and of course she begins to fall in love with her villainous boss, and it seems like at some point there are some plots to take down the villain, and she's going to help him try to stop them. So it sounds funny, very fun. I'm definitely interested in giving this one a read, and pretty much anything that comes from Red Tower I'm interested in checking out, but this one particularly just sounds very fun and lighthearted, like a mix between that like summery rom-com but also like a fantasy. So I'm intrigued. Jumping into September, I don't actually have any like early September. The first release that I have here on my list is September 12th, and it is called Witch of Wild Things by Raquel Vasquez Gilliland. And this one is like kind of a cozy romance with a little bit of fantasy sprinkled on there. In this story, there is a family that is called the Flores family, and every woman in this family has a slight bit of magic, including our main character, Sage. But after the tragic death of her sister, she has been trying to escape from her family and her past, and so she has left her hometown. She's been gone for many years, but she's going to return the beginning of this story for the first time in a very long time. She's going to take a job where she is using her magical ability to communicate with plants to help uncover some sort of strange plants that are growing near this community. And while she is researching this, she's going to be teamed up with her high school sweetheart who broke her heart. So that one definitely sounds very, very fun if you are into like a fantasy, more of like a romance with a little bit of fantasy sprinkled on there, kind of small town vibes. It sounds very cute. There's definitely some heavier topics of like grief that they're going to be dealing with. So I don't know, just seems like a good cozy fall read to me. And I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely drawn in first by the absolutely stunning cover that this one has. Next on September 19th is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. This is kind of a dark academia vibe. I believe this is her YA debut. She's written a couple of adult fantasies, and this one just has all of the fall elements. We have a dark fairy tale. We have a old manor house on the edge of the sea, kind of like crumbling into the ocean. We have two young rivals who are investigating a dead author, and dark magical forces that might bring everything to ruin. So I'm super, super stoked about this one. I think all the vibes are there. It sounds really, really good, and I'm very excited to check it out. Then leaning more into the fantasy fairy tale retelling, we have a YA fantasy called The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purtle. This one also comes out on September 19th. This one we are following our main character Clara and her best friend Axel, who are setting off on a journey to try and reverse their village's curse and save Clara's mother by entering into the deadly Forest Grimm to retrieve this magical book that the forest kind of ate up a long time ago, and they think that this book is going to have the power to kind of overcome these curses, but these two also have curses of their own that may come to fruition while they're on this very dangerous quest into this forest that nobody has ever returned from alive. And the last one on September 19th is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. You guys, I'm so excited for this one. This is written by Brianne Randall, and all of the like small town romance vibes are there with just that little bit of magical realism that I'm so excited to read this one. Our main character, Sadie, has always known that her magic has a price, and that price is 4 heartbreaks. And she's always thought that she could handle that until her grandmother is diagnosed with cancer. Her first heartbreak, Jake, who broke her heart when she was young, returns back to town for the first time in a very, very long time. And her brother returns to town and starts to dig up old family secrets. And things start to go south for her. She doesn't know any longer if her magic is going to be worth this price. I've heard it has a little bit of Gilmore Girls vibes, a little bit of like heavier themes as well, but you guys, it just sounds so good. I'm very, very excited to read this one. And the last one for September, on September 26th, we have The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. This is the first in a new spin-off series to the Serpent and Dove series, so set in the same world, following one of the characters that we met in the Serpent and Dove series named Celie. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not actually love Serpent and Dove very much, but this one, I'm intrigued. I may need to read it. I don't even think I've finished the Serpent and Dove series, but I may end up picking up this one because it just sounds like all the vibes. So Celie has recently become the first female witch hunter, and as one of her first assignments, she is called upon to investigate a series of murders of magical creatures that have been drained of blood. And kind of haunted by the ghosts of her past, while she's kind of on this mission, she is led into the heart of the vampire lair. And it sounds like maybe some romance is gonna happen from there, even though she's engaged to another witch hunter, so I don't know. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I think this one sounds like it could be really good. So definitely if you're a fan of Serpent and Dove, I would recommend checking that one out. But even if you're not, I'm someone who believes in trying spin-off series without reading the first series. Don't come at me for that. I do it. So I'm gonna definitely check that one out. On October 3rd, we have After the Forest by Kel Woods, and this is definitely one of the highest ones up there on this list for me. I cannot wait to read this book. This story takes place 20 years after the encounter with the witch in the gingerbread house, and we are following Greta and Hans, who are struggling to make ends meet, but Greta stole a grimoire from the witch way back in the day, and it has been calling her name, and it contains a recipe for the best gingerbread you have ever eaten. So Greta starts to make this recipe, make this irresistible gingerbread in order to keep her family afloat, but some darker, more sinister forces start to work in the woods where they live, and Greta actually realizes that she maybe has some deeper powers that she's going to have to learn how to use if she wants to save her family. I just can't. Like, that sounds, yes, I need it right now. And the cover, so gorgeous. Also on October 3rd, we have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I have definitely enjoyed the Alex E. Harrow books I have read in the past. The Once and Future Witches was lovely. And in this one, we are following our main character, Opal, who, against her better judgment, takes a job in a haunted house in her town called Starling House. She definitely planned to stay far away, but in order to help out her family, she takes this job helping out in this home, and this home is owned by the last surviving heir of a famous author who mysteriously disappeared, and his name is Arthur. And so Opal and Arthur end up developing kind of a friendship. The home, even though it's this like creepy haunted house that everyone is afraid of, starts to feel like home to her, and some more sinister forces begin to work in their town. And Opal and Arthur are faced with the choice to either start digging up these dark secrets of the past or let their town be devoured by literal nightmares. This one just sounds so good. I'm definitely here for a Alex E. Harrow book about a haunted house. This just sounds really, really interesting, and I think it'll be a very fun, slightly creepy read. Also on October 3rd, we have Curious Tides by Pascal Lascelles, and this is, I believe, a YA kind of dark academia fantasy, which is definitely my genre, especially for the fall. I am just obsessed with those vibes, and this one sounds really, really good. We are following our main character, Emery, who is the only survivor of a deadly accident in these like sea caves near her elite magic school. And while she is just kind of a mediocre magic user healer, after this accident, she starts to discover that she maybe has some weird powers that she really shouldn't have. And she needs to hide this because if the wrong people find out, she's gonna get into some trouble maybe. So with the help of kind of a reclusive student, she starts to dig into this secret society that she thinks maybe has something to do with the death of her friends that happened. And the two begin investigating this, as well as trying to figure out how Emery can control these new powers that she's developing. This one just sounds very, very interesting. I'm really, really excited to check it out because definitely dark academia and fantasy are big trigger buzzwords for me, and you've got my attention. On October 10th, we have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is Cassie Clare's adult fantasy debut. If you have heard of the Shadowhunters or read any of the books in the Shadowhunters universe, that is Cassie Clare. I'm a big fan, and I'm really, really excited to check out her adult fantasy debut, which is Swordcatcher. This book takes us to the vibrant city-state of Castlane, where we meet Kel, a young orphan who has been stolen away from his family in order to become the body double for the prince. And we also meet Lynn Castor, a physician who possesses some magical abilities. After a failed assassination attempt, these two end up being brought together and drawn into the web of the Rag Picker King, who is the kind of lord of the criminal underworld in this city. And it is there that they begin to uncover a conspiracy that may be the downfall of their kingdom. Also on October 10th, we have the republication of A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. This book was originally self-published and has been picked up by a publisher and is coming out again in October. I did not get to pick it up when it was self-published, but I'm very, very interested in it. I've heard a lot of really good things. This definitely falls into that romantasy category, which I have been eating up lately and has been really big within the self-published world. In this one, we have our main character, Arwen, who has been taken by the Onyx Kingdom in exchange for her brother's life and is being held there, forced to use her magical healing abilities to heal these enemy soldiers. She teams up with a very infuriating and cunning fellow prisoner in order to try to break out of this kingdom and get back to her family, but she starts to uncover that she maybe has some other magic waiting within her that wants to be unleashed, and there may be some more going on between the kingdoms than what she originally thought. And I am always here and excited for a self-published author who gets picked up by a publisher. I know that's such a huge deal and very, very exciting for Kate Golden. Another one on October 10th is The Night Hunt by Alexandra Christo. We have our main character, Atia, who is the last of her kind. They are monsters who feed on fear. And then we also have our character, Silas, who is a ferryman of the dead. And he has been put here as a punishment for a past crime that he no longer remembers committing. And this unlikely pair ends up teaming up in order to take on the gods and try to reclaim their own destinies. And I'm just all here for this kind of dark, it's definitely gonna be a romance, but like these darker characters, I'm into it. This sounds really, really fun. On October 17th, we have one of my most anticipated, I think I've said that way too many times, but I really mean it when I say this one. We have The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. You guys know that I am so obsessed with Adrienne Young, especially her adult kind of contemporary magical realism, romance, whatever the heck mystery books she has been coming out with. Spells for Forgetting was just everything. And I'm so excited for her second adult kind of fantasy, romance, mystery, whatever concoction that is The Unmaking of June Farrow. So the Farrow women are known for two things: their flower farm and their magical curse. After the death of the grandmother who raised her, June begins to uncover some secrets about her family that lead her to believe that this door she's been seeing that she thought was a hallucination may actually be real, and it may hold the secrets to where her mother disappeared to all those years ago. So the next time it appears and she actually walks through the threshold, June starts herself on a wild, magical journey that will affect the past, the present, the future, as well as uncover her family secrets and maybe lead her to a star-crossed romance. And you guys, I just can't. I'm so excited to read this one. I have a digital arc from NetGalley and I cannot wait to read it and tell you guys all about it. And I hope that any other fellow Adrienne Young fans are planning to pick this one up too. Also, can we just have a moment for its beautiful cover? Obsessed. And the last one on my list, on October 31st, we have What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. And I think this one sounds so good. It's an Egyptian-inspired young adult fantasy, definitely with a lot of romance to it, and it sounds really incredible. So after the tragic deaths of her parents, Inez inherits a large fortune and she is shipped off to a mysterious guardian in Cairo, Egypt. And all that she takes with her is her sketch pad and a ring that was left to her by her father. And this ring actually seems to have some sort of magic. It is pulling her towards some ancient magic that she is kind of uncovering in Egypt. And while she is there, she is trying to discover the truth of what really happened to her parents, where they really disappeared to, or if they even really died, before she becomes the next one to disappear. And I just am here for all the vibes. There's definitely like a little bit of a rivals thing going on as well with her guardian's assistant, and definitely some romance that's gonna bloom, and I'm just really excited. I have enjoyed Isabel Ibanez in the past, and I think this is gonna be a really good one to read. So those are the books that are coming out in September and October. And there are a few sequels that I just briefly want to mention in case you're interested. There are 4 of them that I'm going to list off for you just real quick here. So let's get into those. On August 29th, we have Big Little Spells, which is the sequel to Small Town Big Magic by Hazel Beck, which is a romance with fantasy elements that I just absolutely eat up. It's like very Gilmore Girls vibes, but with magic. 10 out of 10. So good. Definitely recommend, and I'm very excited for that sequel. On October 3rd, we have Last Word to the Wise by Anne Claire, which is a cozy mystery and the sequel to Dead and Gondola. We are following a set of sisters in this one who own a bookshop up in like the mountains in Colorado. It's very atmospheric, very wintry. So I'm interested to see what the second one is going to be about, but that one comes out on October 3rd. On October 17th, we have Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. This is the sequel to Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, which I absolutely loved. This is such a funny, like Knives Out type of comedy, mystery, family drama, all the things. I loved it so much. The humor was so spot on to my humor. It's not even funny, but it is funny. So definitely excited for that sequel, and I highly recommend the audiobook. So I will definitely be listening to that when it comes out on October 17th. And on October 24th is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, the final installment in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, which is the spin-off series to Caraval, following our dear friend Jax and Evangeline. And I cannot wait to see how this story ends. I was very salty about the ending of the second one, so hopefully we can redeem that with the third book. I'm really, really excited though. I love this series and just think it is such a fun, whimsical YA fantasy with a lot of romance, and yeah, very, very excited for that one as well. So those are the sequels. I just wanted to list those off real quick for you. But thank you so much for hanging out with me for today's video. Please let me know in the comments, what are your most anticipated upcoming releases for September and October of this year? If you have any good recommendations that I missed on this list, please drop them below. I would love to know. Or just if we share some of the same ones, we can definitely chat about that as well. But thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends.